Hello everyone, it's Wednesday, January 26th, 2012. It's Harp Wednesday. Ha ha. I actually thought I would do an episode every week for this Greensleeves arranging project that I started last week. And last week, you sort of got an as it happens look at me arranging and composing the intro and the first statement of the theme, which is what you just heard. This week I've already written the first two variations, so I'm just going to talk about what I did and then play the whole thing for you. So we finished that statement of the theme with all the little harmonics by coming down. What have we got? And it's all been up here, kind of mysterious, lighter kind of sound. So I definitely wanted to move it down an octave to here, down here, to get a richer, fuller sound. And start playing around and stretching the tune. So you heard there. And so again, as you saw in that first episode, I sat down, I played around, tried this, tried that to see what I liked. And I'm trying to stay within the harmonic structure of the piece. So in this bar, we're in E minor. So that's the feeling that I want. And of course, there will be passing tones. So in other words, we might be playing E minor chords in this bar, but have an F sharp in the right hand at some point. But basically that F sharp is just leading us into maybe this E or this G. So that while it's not, there's no F sharp in an E minor chord, that F sharp is leading us into some part of an E minor chord. And so playing around. And just stretching it around and having fun with it that way. And what we got? And at one point, adding one little grace note. Basically, it stayed the same pattern both in the left and the right hand, where the right hand is doing, sometimes it has a single pickup note, eighth note. So, but most of the time we have this dotted eighth note, and then 3/16 into another dotted eighth note. Changes there at the end, of course, but that rhythm of 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1 stays consistent pretty much throughout. I do throw in a grace note the second time we have this G major. Which is kind of nice. And the left hand again is staying the same. It's doing 2 16th notes into a quarter note. So 1 and 2, 3, 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 1 and 2, 3. And that sort of arpeggiated chord is quite effective on the harp. So that finishes, and then I got drawn into something that I wasn't expecting. It just sort of snuck up on me, popped out at me, which is one of the fun things about playing around, composing and arranging, is sometimes some idea you don't know where it came from, but you like it. And that was doing this little pattern. And moving around again, this is all staying in the harmonic structure of the piece, so that we move from E minor to a D major to an E minor to D major again, I guess, and E and B, etc. And playing around with these consistent 16th notes, generally with a downbeat and then some chord and then thirds. And oftentimes, 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then the last one having 1 and then 3 4 5 6 all as thirds or fourths, as the case may be. So I had some fun with that. That was kind of unexpected. So you'll get to hear that in a moment. And I do want to just mention that while this sort of arpeggiated chords is a very effective and easy thing to do on the harp, whereas thirds are kind of risky, any sort of repeated or moving chords are much harder to play on the harp than they are on the piano. For one thing, if it's repeated, you're coming, at one point you're replacing on the string, there's the chance of buzzing if you're moving, and there's the chance of hearing a stopped sound, and they're much harder to play than on the piano. So you should use caution when you're writing a bunch of chords in a row, even if they're just thirds, even if they're just 2 notes. Obviously, if there's, say, 4 notes, they get even harder, but that's not something that the harp does very well. So just be careful and make sure that as you're writing it, that you're able to play it at speed, because you might go, oh, I think this sounds nice, and you're writing it down, but maybe you're playing it slower than you'll eventually want to, and then when you get it up to speed, it might be like, oops, this is actually really hard. So just be careful of writing a bunch of thirds or a bunch of repeated chords and stuff like that. But in this case, I think it works okay. So that's variations 1 and 2. And I sort of have a picture of the piece in my head at this point. And of course, sometimes something unexpected will pop up, like this second variation. But I'm pretty sure after that, the next variation is maybe the left hand's going to take the tune. Down low, and the right hand might be doing some sort of wandering thing up here. I don't know, some little accompaniment to that. But I definitely want to go back and hear the tune again, because the first variation I pulled around with a tune, kind of pulling it out of recognition at times, and then the second variation we don't really hear the tune at all. So I'm going to come back, hear the tune, and I think at some point I might switch it up and play it in a major key, see how that sounds. Maybe do some sort of fast, flashy, maybe scale-like variation. Try maybe a strong march sounding variation, see what that sounds like. And I know that I'm almost certainly going to end the piece with a very simple restatement of the theme. So no harmonics, probably even simpler than the original theme, because while it's fun to pull the tune around and have fun with it that way, I do think that Greensleeves is a very haunting, beautiful tune that doesn't really need a lot done with it. And so to close, I'll probably want to just play Greensleeves with a lot of space around it and just close very simply. So, but we'll see. That's the fun thing about arranging and composing, is you never know where it'll lead you, and hopefully you'll have fun along the way. So I will see you again in 2 weeks. In 1 week, I'll see you again next week. Cheers.